we implemented in the informatics engineering program CDIO in 2006 during the Bologna reform in Europe. So basically I'm trying to explain some things that we have done in consequence of CDIO. So basically this is the outline of this presentation. Our school is a very old school. We have nowadays 22 programs, 50% bachelor, 50% master, and we are undergoing a very important phase of accreditation and certification, especially within the EURACE organization in Europe. So basically, just to create some context, the informatics engineering program was designed with inspiration from the ACM curricula, recommendations, and the CDIO good practices and principles. And it is very interesting to see that okay. So CDIO was very instrumental in defining the activities, how did this bunch of courses and activities could work in an integrated and rational way. Okay. So basically this is a program with much emphasis on practice, also on theory, but much on practice and skills. Okay. About the study plan. The study plan has what we call conventional courses and then laboratory project courses. Okay. And finishes with a very important capstone project, which 90% of the students go out to do this. Okay, so basically, the CDIO label represents the courses which were most transformed by the CDIO principles and concepts. Okay, so basically, you can see that CDIO contributed at least to 11 courses during this change process. So the problem that we face nowadays, in Portugal, we have a national ranking system. So students from the secondary school get a grade and then are ranked by a national system that the schools don't control. And they are selected for the different universities and polytechnics on the basis of this grade. But this grading system doesn't work so efficiently as we think. And also there is some, sorry. And there is also some problem or some difficulties with student placement. Being a polytechnic in Portugal is not so good as being a university. So basically, the student placement is stratified. We get the lower half and the upper half goes to university. But that's not a problem, even so. Because since 2006, a lot of output performance indicators show us that our students are getting better, and each time the employers want our students and our graduates. Okay, so we see that our graduates almost have 100% employability, and the employers ask a lot for our students even before they finish the program. So some issues, some kind of conceptual questions that you have about this. Are students with engineering vocation going to engineering programs? I guess not. Most of them in Portugal at least go to medical schools, which is not so good. What's the reliability of the national access grade? It doesn't seem to be so good also. This stratification means that polytechnics engineers are worse than university engineers, and so on. So basically, these important questions drive us to think about, okay, how can we define or describe the output in a better way instead of the standard program grade? So in our opinion, the average program grade that students get when they finish the program does not represent their potential. It's not a good indicator of quality. Okay? And we did a study using a sample of 100 students since 2006 to see that, for instance, this is the access grade, the grade that they get when they finish the secondary school on a scale of 9 to 20. This is the math grade, because math is required to go into engineering, and these circles represent the capstone grades. The bigger the circles, the higher the grade. And you can see that a lot of our students finishes the program with a very good capstone grade, even when entering the polytechnic school with a lower or with a low access grade. So something does not correlate here. Okay. So if a student does not have a very good access grade, that doesn't mean that he can be a very good engineer. Okay. And we try to study this situation. This is also another chart which has the secondary access grade and the final program informatics engineering grade, and also the capstone grades. So you can see that the largest circles are spread around the chart, not concentrated on the upper right side, as it should be in theory. Okay. So this motivated us to try to replace the average program grade, which is a number on a scale of 0 to 20, with something more qualitative and more descriptive. So something like an outcome-oriented descriptor-based grade, multidimensional, more oriented to proficiency, simple, understandable, and deterministic. Okay, and very importantly, that could be useful for employers. So a student could be easily profiled by the employers using this new approach to program grading. We decided to adopt the European Qualification Framework for this new grading system. So basically there are 3 categories of learning outcomes: the knowledge, the skills, and the competence. Okay? So we decided to adopt this at level 6, which corresponds to bachelor degree. Okay? So basically we had the problem of how can we compute some number that represents the knowledge proficiency, the skills proficiency, and the competence proficiency. We decided to look at the curricula and try to map some information from the curricula to these 3 categories. So basically, we decided to compute a weighted average of these courses, which are more knowledge-related courses, and get some numerical information which can be associated with knowledge. Okay? From these lab projects, which are also very important, in which the students only do project work. There are no conventional classes, it's only project work during 4 weeks in each semester. We gather some information which is skill related. And finally, from the 1 semester capstone project, we gather information which is clearly competence related. So basically, using these sources of information, we can derive numbers and eventually map to competence, skills, and knowledge. So we decided to adopt a qualitative, very simple qualitative scale from excellent to sufficient. Okay? And for each grading category, we compute basically a weighted average using the courses which are related to the category, and then apply predefined and appropriate thresholds to convert the number to these 4-letter categories. Okay? So to this 4-letter scale. So of course we have to look at the database of grades and so on, just to define the thresholds for computing the A to D scale. And after we did this with a sample of 100 students that finished it during those academic years, for the 64 possible combinations of these 3 categories, we only have 25 situations, okay? And the most predominant are the BCC, which means it's very, very good in competence, it's good in skills, and it's good in knowledge, okay? So each 3-letter means the first letter is competence, the second is skills, and the third is knowledge. And the scale is that one that I showed before. So it would be wonderful if all our students would be in this column, but that wouldn't be reasonable, okay? That would be completely artificial. So it's interesting because we can say that our students typically fall into 3 categories or 3 stereotypes, okay? And this was expected because we know the students from the day-to-day classes and so on. So it was expected something like this. And it was nice to see that this produced something deterministic and reasonable, okay? So basically the results. Each graduate can be alternatively described by 3 A to D letters, okay, in the context of the European Qualification Level 6 outcomes. We emphasize competence because we are a polytechnic school, so we put competence first, then skills, then knowledge. So basically, every student will have a 3-letter code with this scale and within this way of understanding the scale, okay? And this can be very interesting and very profitable. For instance, we can define proficiency profiles which are could be very interesting for employers. For instance, if an employer needs a student which is very good in competence, which is very high in competence, basically is interested in a student with an A, whatever. Because if the focus is competence, so basically this is the most important. The other 2 letters can vary. Could be A, of course, could be C, could be D. For instance, a profile which is strong in good skills is basically a profile in which the middle letter should be an A or a B or a C. So this is a kind of technological mechanism which we call the regular expression, just to say that we can define some schemes which can be associated to some particular profiles, okay? For instance, if someone wants a scientifically strong student, basically is interested in the 3rd letter to be an A or a B. And this is interesting because we have already discussed this with some employers and they found the idea very good, okay? So basically they don't care about the program grade. Doesn't mean anything to them. Usually they ask for some courses which they think they are very important and for the capstone grade. But this system is better because it encompasses all the activities in the program. So in terms of evolution, of course this must be validated with a big sample of employers and external stakeholders, but the first impressions are very positive. We also anticipate that this grading information will be added to the diploma supplement, which is a standardizer descriptive document which the European Union defines for describing the students and the output and the outcomes of the students. Eventually, we think this could replace the simple and incomplete average program grade that we are using still today. And the possibility of identifying grading and student stereotypes can be also instrumental to making changes and to improve the program. So in conclusion, this study, this first experience, addressed some important issues. Knowledge-only grading is too simplistic and misleading. Many times a very good student, a very strong student in knowledge is not so good in terms of doing things. So a simple number is not enough. It's also important for employers. This scheme is easily understandable and the employers understand and are sensitive to it. It can be officially endorsed by the school, allows the identification of stereotypes like personas in some other articles that were discussed last year in CDA conference. And it's very simple to apply. to any program in which competence, skills and knowledge are clearly identified and can be clearly computed from the activities in the program. So I guess applying this approach is a lot simpler in CDIO compliant programs, because usually this separation between competence, skills and knowledge usually is more simple to identify and to compute. So basically, this is my presentation. Thank you.